not on the agenda?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, Thursday, at long last, we have the Montana Virtual Passenger Rail Summit coming up from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Folks should absolutely consider participating in this. We've got a few surprises, and I think folks will be pretty pleased. We are pushing 400 registrants for this event.
Wow.
So there is widespread support and interest in this. So come one and come all.
Well done. Well done. All right. We are going to dive into the work of the day here. Our first presenter is Nicole Rush.
Good morning, commissioners. I have a new Big Sky Trust Fund job creation grant application for your approval this morning. And I have with me Dr. Rebecca Bendick, who is the former co-chair of the University of Montana Department of Geosciences. So you may all know her, I'm sure, in that capacity. And she is the newly recruited, as of January 2020, president of UNAVCO, which is the company I'd like to apply for the BSTF grant on behalf of. UNAVCO is a nonprofit scientific institute that is a global leader in engineering and data handling for geophysical and environmental sensors. They are currently based in Boulder, Colorado, but are planning to open a new headquarters office in Missoula, Montana, led by Dr. Bendick, or Bex, as she goes by. So, and in a minute, I'll hand the mic over to Bex to give you an overview of the company and the jobs they're planning to create in Missoula. Before I do that, though, I do just want to disclose that Dr. Bendick is the spouse of MEP CEO Grant Keir, just to let you know that. And because of their relationship and any potential for a conflict of interest, wanted to let you know that Grant recused himself from participating in assisting UNAVCO in this process of working with them to select Missoula as their new headquarters office. But however, the MEP Board of Directors fully endorses this project, and I've been working directly with our board chair, Debbie Johnston. She's been overseeing the staff as we worked with Bex on this project of UNAVCO. So I'm really, and I think you'll see why once you hear from Bex about their potential to impact Missoula, the partnerships that UNAVCO can create with the University of Montana, and the advancement of the scientific and technical industry that that they would have an impact on here in Missoula. So with that, I will let Bex take over and give you an overview of UNAVCO.
So thanks everyone. Thanks for the introduction, Nicole, and thanks for inviting me to present today. If Nicole hadn't done it, I was going to also reveal my family conflict of interest with Grant Keir, which is something I've also done on the UNAVCO side with my board of directors around the issue of site selection and facilities location. So we are trying to do all that we can to mitigate our conflict of interest around that. But we also believe that bringing UNAVCO to Missoula will offer a lot of exciting synergies, both for the organization and for the community that I know and love and live in. So I'm going to try to share my screen now. And use a PowerPoint. Uh-oh. Interestingly, I don't know if so can you see this screen?
Yeah.
Can you see? Okay, good. Okay, I don't use Teams as much as Zoom, so my apologies for being klutzy with it. So I'd like to introduce you today to an organization called UNAVCO Incorporated. This is a 501c3 nonprofit located in Boulder, Colorado at the moment. But by the numbers, UNAVCO is an academic consortium which has 233 member institutions distributed globally. We have 87 employees, plus or minus a few, most of whom have either advanced degrees or technical training in various fields of physics, geophysics, environmental science, or engineering. We own over 3,000 scientific instruments that we use in a variety of ways that I'll explain to you in a minute, with an operating budget of approximately $18 million a year, which comes mainly from the U.S. National Science Foundation, but also from NASA and a portfolio of other federal agencies, including the USGS, the Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, Interior, and several different international and private partners and clients. And we handle approximately 600 terabytes of data in and out per year. UNAVCO's vision statement is, UNAVCO transforms understanding of Earth systems and hazards using geodesy. And this vision is realized through global leadership and facility best practices that integrate innovative geodetic technologies and open observations for geoscience research and education, and for the improvement of the human condition. So you'll see in our vision and mission statements this word geodesy. Geodesy is the most useful science that nobody knows what the heck it is. So I thought I would explain a little bit. Geodesy fundamentally is the science of positioning. So that what that really means is careful measurement of the location of people and objects and parts of our planet over time. And you might sort of take for granted the fact that we know where things are, but it actually takes really complicated engineering and science to know exactly where things are. And so I pulled this little plot off of a geodesy textbook that shows, positioning precision over a range of length scales and then time scale on the x-axis. And what you can see from this, hopefully, is that understanding the position of different kinds of objects in space and over time has a huge range of both scientific and technical and engineering applications. So everything from locating ships and aircraft to providing the positioning services that you need to do autonomous navigation for different kinds of autonomous vehicles, to capturing information about space weather, which maybe you thought there wasn't weather in space, but solar storms can have potentially huge impacts on economic activities and infrastructure, all the way down to the very high precision, long time scale observations that we need to do things like evaluate hazard and risk from earthquakes, measure plate tectonics, and actually measure sea level and other changes to the planet that arise from climate change. So the science of positioning underpins a huge number of other engineering, technical, and scientific applications. And a lot of the kind of core services of UNAVCO are the both data and infrastructure requirements that are necessary to do these applications. So we provide these services by three different kinds of activities on three different levels. One is we operate sensor networks, and you can see on that globe each red dot is a high precision positioning instrument that makes up something called the Network of the Americas, which provides the backbone of positioning information for all of North America. We handle data that flows from those sensors and many other sensors and hold it and serve it in an open data repository for use by government, scientific, and commercial users. And then we produce derived data products from the data that streams from those sensors. An example of which here is the West Coast Earthquake Early Warning System. So, for example, those little dots each report automatically if they move by some threshold amount, and that can be a very early indicator of a large earthquake that's then used to send out alerts to people living in the region so they can take cover or stop electric trains or start shutting down nuclear power plants to mitigate the impact of large geologic disasters. How do we do these things? Well, foremost, we operate a pool of these scientific sensors. So we maintain them, some of them we custom build, we install them worldwide. And a couple of examples of the kinds of sensors that UNAVCO supports are on the left. Here is a continuously operating GPS monument that's tied to the solid earth that gives us that plate tectonics and earthquake early warning capability. In the lower left, this is a terrestrial laser scanner that a couple of my, well, 3 of my engineers are using to make an ultra high resolution topographic map of the area around the Mauna Kea Astronomical Observatory in that case. We install and operate a wide range of downhole borehole sensors. So these include seismometers, strain meters, and other kinds of sensors that measure deep into the earth, including the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory and early warning network there. And then on the top right here, we are moving into the space of a large variety of drone-mounted sensors, so optical and lasers particularly, that just last year was used to do a huge survey of the penguin population in a part of Antarctica. So these have a wide variety of applications, as you might imagine. There are 3 main divisions within UNAVCO that support these services. The largest is called Geodetic Infrastructure. This is the engineering team that designs, builds, and maintains sensor networks worldwide. The second largest is Geodetic Data Services, which handles our huge data archive and also makes sure that we're implementing fair and open data use policies and complying with all relevant statutory requirements on open data, but not too open data. And then our smallest directorate is Education and Community Engagement, and they have a wide purview to provide workforce training and development, curricular materials for both for K-12 and post-secondary education, and then also a lot of informal outreach and engagement that includes working with museums, working with community groups on understanding, for example, the natural hazards data products, and generally building an understanding of geodesy, which you might think, haven't really accomplished that task yet, but we're working on it. And so last of all, you might be asking, why should UNAVCO move to Missoula? Well, I and my board and my senior leadership team can see a variety of advantages in doing so. I think that provide benefits to UNAVCO as an organization and also to this community. And they center around these 4 categories of priorities. And one is that Missoula has a ready and able, technically skilled workforce here that we would love to recruit and integrate into our geodetic workforce. But also, as you all know, Missoula offers an exceptional quality of life and frankly, an affordability that Boulder does not offer to my scientific and technical workforce. We're really excited about the potential for innovative public-private partnerships here in Montana. So the obvious one is working with the Montana University system, especially the University of Montana's Missoula campus, to do workforce training and development within both Missoula College and and also to leverage the university's capabilities for research and development and scientific discoveries. But we're also excited to look at partnerships with the city and the county to provide a home for UNAVCO that's great for the employees and for the work that we do. And then, of course, that research and development possibility with the university and with other tech sector public and private entities within Montana, including a pretty strong group of photonics companies and other engineering companies in the state. And we're also very eager to leverage Montana's incentives for technology transfer. Montana is a great place to have small spin-off companies that can use some of the things that are developed in UNAVCO more effectively in the commercial sector. And then finally, we see a lot of positive synergies in bringing UNAVCO's global reach and global footprint into Missoula and kind of introducing the world of geodesy to Missoula, Montana, while in return giving UNAVCO a really unique sense of place. There's nothing better than a positioning organization that understands where it is and what's important about the place where it's located. So I tried to leave lots of time for questions. Hopefully I can escape out of that. And I think happy to answer any questions you have about the organization or our pitch to the Big Sky Trust Fund.
Great. Thanks a lot. Can I start off with a couple of questions? Are you open?
Yeah, happy to.
Great, thanks. So you mentioned you do a bunch of work with the federal government. I think you said NASA, the Department of Defense, NSF. Are these contracts that you go through an RFP process for, or are these grants?
So it's a little bit, it's a slightly different process than either of those. There are about 24 what are called large scientific facilities in the United States, and they operate on what are called cooperative agreements. So there is a competitive process for large facilities, and it's on a 5-year cycle. And so it looks like a grant on that 5-year cycle. We get a certain designated amount for operations based on a scope of work that's proposed. But it's slightly different from a grant, mostly insofar as we have to comply with a vast amount of sort of reporting and fiduciary requirements through the cooperative agreement, whereas a grant has a few fewer strings.
Have you noticed a change in the amount of money different administrations put towards this?
I mean, I could only answer that question sort of anecdotally since I'm still in my first year as president of UNAVCO, but these cooperative agreements are negotiated on these 5-year cycles, but UNAVCO has existed as the operator of the United States' geodetic facility for about 40 years. So it's been, certainly the award amount for operating that large facility has changed over that 40 years. And there are sometimes different priorities, but it's not a very, it's a pretty low risk arrangement because the large facility has this supporting role for a bunch of infrastructure that is deemed critical. So
Great. That's kind of what I was getting at. Thanks for hitting on the risk. So my last question, and then I'll get out of the way. Why is UNAVCO a nonprofit?
Well, mainly, I guess, two reasons, one practical and one philosophical. The practical reason is that the operators of these large facilities have to be nonprofits. So that's easy. But philosophically, UNAVCO is a consortium of all of these academic and research institutions worldwide. And so, you know, if my personal perspective on this is that science is for the greater good. Operating these facilities are for the greater good. They're not, it doesn't align well with the kind of profit-seeking model. To me, the difference between a for-profit and a nonprofit organization is nonprofits invest all of their revenues into their mission, and UNAVCO is deeply committed to its mission of supporting research, technology, and engineering infrastructure. And so it's really a logical alignment with our organizational mission and vision to be not-for-profit.
So then all the data you guys get from all this monitoring is kind of open source. Anyone can look at it and use it for whatever they need to do.
Absolutely. Like, one of our biggest, most important core values is an open data policy. So any data that are collected by any researchers anywhere in the world that UNAVCO supports has to go into our archive and has to be discoverable and usable by any other user.
And so does your board reflect that 283 member consortium?
Yeah, so my board of directors are all academics. There are about 6 professors from different U.S. institutions in this current board, and 3 from international institutions.
Thanks a lot.
Well, thanks for the presentation. I would move that we approve the resolution authorizing the application.
Second, I wanted this conversation to continue. This is really great.
Super interesting. Thanks for letting me ask all those questions, Bex.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad now you all know what geodesy is forever and henceforth.
It's the first time I've heard the word. I'm going to use it.
I'm going to try to figure out how to throw
it. No one will know what you're talking about. Thank you very much for your support.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right, Adrian.
Good morning. Well, this is not nearly as exciting as geodesy, but what you have before you are some obligating documents. The Office of Emergency Management applied for and was awarded a Homeland Security grant for this next federal fiscal year, so from October 1st to September 30th of 2021. For a backup generator and necessary equipment to outfit the new election center to be dual purposed as a backup emergency operations center for our office. One of the things that we discovered during flooding and currently are discovering during COVID is that our current emergency operations center, while very capable, when we have to socially distance or when we have large cooperators, number of agencies involved in any particular disaster, the need for a larger space is absolutely paramount. And so we're excited to be partnering with the elections office to kind of design that space to be dual purpose for both the training center for our office and our partners in the community, but also to have the critical function as an emergency operations center.
Great.
Excellent.
Adrian, so we currently have a backup 911 center out at the airport. Would this be able to serve in that function also, or not so much?
Not so much, and primarily it's because of the equipment that is out at the airport. You know, we could at some point look at creating maybe a third backup 911 center, but that involves a tremendous amount of equipment and programming with circuits in it and everything else. So the airport really does serve our needs for a 911 center, but this will enable us to have not only kind of diversity of space, but also in the event that we have some kind of disaster that knocks out our bridges or those kinds of things, being able to have a facility on the other side of the river is important to us.
Thanks.
Great. I move that the board approve, or the chair approve, signing the obligating documents for the State Homeland Security Grant Program.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad the election center is on the other side of the river.
Yeah, well done, Election Center.
Yeah.
All right, Cindy Kennedy.
Good morning, everyone. The item I have before you today is a request for the board to approve and authorize the chair to designate me, Cindy Kennedy, as the environmental certifying official for the 2015 Community Development Block Grant Housing Rehabilitation Project. And this requires signing a designation of environmental certifying official letter and a resolution for designating the environmental certifying official. So just to give you a little bit of background, before my time joining the county, the grants division applied for a CDBG housing rehabilitation grant. And we received a contract with the state about the time I started my employment with the county, and we subcontracted with HRC to provide housing rehab loans to low and moderate income households in Missoula County outside of city limits. And there was an overarching environmental review that was done by John Adams at the time that that application was submitted. But then every time we have a project, a rehab project, we have to do an abbreviated environmental review for that particular project. And we have been under contract since 2015, but we just are now getting our first rehab project. So that's exciting, but it's a little bit unfortunate that it's taken us this long. Hopefully this is a trend that'll continue. And so the project that I am doing now, I'm in the process of doing an environmental review, and I need to have you all designate me as the official to sign off on that. Are there any questions?
Only if you can use geodesy in a sentence.
I love it.
You know, that geodesy should definitely apply, and it does. We just don't use that term when we're doing environmental reviews. But I think I might have to try to incorporate that. Yeah.
All right, I would move that we authorize Josh to sign the letter and the resolution.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Cindy. I hope there's
Thank
more
you.
projects coming your way.
Yeah, me too. Have
Not
a good
4
day,
years
everyone.
out. Yeah, you too.
All right, Billy from the fairgrounds.
Hi, Commissioners. This is Annie. So that item is going to be postponed until September 24th admin.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
How about Deb Bell?
Present.
All
So
right.
on your agenda today, is there?
right.
Do you want to introduce or shall I?
Tell us what we're talking about here.
Tell us what we're talking about here.
Okay. So this is a request to approve a proposed 5-year contract with HDR Engineering for services for the Lolo RSID. We put out a request for qualifications this spring and received a number of SOQs back. HDR scored the highest, and so we are proposing to enter into the attached 5-year contract for services for the Rural Special Improvement District, which is 901 down in Lolo. And so what you're going to see is this is an overarching contract, and then as specific tasks we need HDR to do, those will come before you with designated amounts and actually the fine detail of what will go into that. So this is going to help us with our water rights, our change of use permit, and any other infrastructure projects that we have on our list to do in the next 5 years. Happy to take any questions.
Oh, I don't have any questions. Sorry, Dave, did you? I don't have any questions. Sorry, Dave, did you?
I do not.
Is anyone else getting weird feedback?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Anyone else
a
getting weird
delay.
feedback?
Yes. Yeah, it's a
Okay, I move that the board approve the petition of inclusion for RSID 901.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
And you got another one.
I do, and I don't know if it's me that's giving the feedback or not. I apologize. It might be that we have so many people on too. This is for a petition for inclusion into the Lolo RSID 901. This is for Al Zapita. He owns some property located at 8139 Highway 12. And his petition was received and reviewed by Public Works as well as John Hart. And so staff is requesting approval of the petition. He paid the petition fee of $3,000 to enter. He understands that services are not readily available and that by inclusion into the RSID, he will start being taxed the same as everybody else.
Great.
Is Al or anyone here on his behalf?
This is James Sage with Missoula Engineering. I'm here on Al's behalf. The intention is just to include it in the RSID 901 so that he can extend water and sewer services to his property, primarily sewer. It's currently about 500 feet to the east of his property right now, so it kind of makes logical sense that he would invest that money into connecting to that infrastructure rather than invest the money for a septic system.
Yeah.
I think I made a mistake and I read the wrong motion because I think I read the motion for this petition. The thing that we just voted on was not the contract. So apologies.
I don't know.
Well, I think we knew what we were voting on, so
Okay.
we clearly weren't listening to what you said, though. I didn't notice that. So
I didn't.
Okay. I
Let-
did motion to approve the contract.
Great. Well,
Let
let the record show. Yes. So let's get Mr. Zapata into this RSID district.
So
I would move that. Let me make sure I get the right one here. I move that we approve the petition.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Mr.
Thank-
Sage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sage. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks.
All right, Kylie, are you with us?
Hi, everybody. Surprise, not Kylie. Good morning, it's Juniper. Kylie had some scheduled time off, and so I'm here to present on her behalf. The next two items are both Kylie's. I'm moving them forward today. I'm going to talk about both of them at the same time, and then you can take your actions however you want to, but probably in the order that they were presented. So as you remember from prior conversations, Missoula County has been working with Trout Unlimited for a number of years to secure grants to support a multi-year, multi-phase restoration project in 9 Mile that aims to restore the remnant impacts of placer mining. So just for quick background for those on the call, so the destruction of the watershed led to erosion and increased stream temperatures, and it prevented bull trout and west slope cutthroat trout from navigating to their historic spawning grounds. This restoration work includes the recontouring of old slag piles and eliminating of old, dredge ponds and reconnecting the 9 Mile through a highly impacted section more into like a naturally meandering stream better able to support the fish and wildlife in that area. So Trout Unlimited is still the lead on the project. They complete all of the project planning and implementation and really get these projects, these good projects on the ground. And then our role is to assist in grant applications and administration to help move that project along. So today there's two items. The first is a grant agreement between Missoula County and the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation for $437,000 from their Reclamation and Development Grants Program. And then, so again, the first is the grant agreement for the $437,000, and then the second is what's called a collection agreement that's entered into between Missoula County and Trout Unlimited. These collection agreements set out the kind of tasks and responsibilities for each party, and speaks to things like report writing and invoicing and payments and other kinds of administrative tasks and who does what, and how that communication occurs. So those are the two items before you. And just for a quick project update, because I know you all were recently out there and are now pretty closely tied to this project. Work is ongoing. It's going well. A large portion of the funds from this grant agreement will actually be put to work this fall. And the remaining funds from this grant will be used in the spring, and we'll get some good work on the ground. So with that, I'll answer any questions or let you consider the motions.
How long does the grant run for?
This one, we should expend the funds by next year. But if I remember correctly, the grant agreement will stay open longer than that to give us some flexibility.
Great.
And the work will be ongoing. There's multiple phases. I think we're in phase 5, and yet there's yet to be a phase 6. So you'll see us again asking for additional support for this project, I'm sure, in the future.
Feel so grateful that we got to go tour that area in 9 Mile and meet the folks from Trout Unlimited. So this now, like, I know what this is now, and I wouldn't have otherwise. So and I could see using all that equipment, you'd burn through nearly $500,000 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
A lot of big gear and a lot of people operating that big gear, moving a lot of earth around, making things much better. So.
Well,
The scope of the project.
Thankfully, the one proposed placer mining operation is not going to come to fruition, so we at least will not have to worry about reclaiming that at some point.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the scope of this project is just mind-boggling. Like, you don't, even when you're on the ground, I mean, it's just, you have to see it from the air, and it's just so impressive what has been accomplished so far, and also pretty impressive what still needs to be accomplished. So, wow. So yes, I move that the chair sign the grant agreement between Missoula County and the Montana Department of Natural Resource Conservation.
Do you want to do the next one too, Juan?
And move that the chair sign the collection agreement between Missoula County and TU.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go
Thanks,
TU.
Juniper.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody. Have a good day. Take care.
All right. Eric Dixon, talk about Main Street Bridge.
What Main Street is this in? Is this in what town? Frenchtown. Thank you. Okay. Sorry.
Oh no, that's all right. I had to see which one I have first. Okay, so the so yes, our bridge work on Main Street in Frenchtown has come to a close. We had the substantial completion inspection on August 13th. We were out there with our engineer, Great West Engineering, and our contractor, Dick Anderson Construction. The work was complete and was very well done. So we're certainly happy that this is a project that has been completed after many years of need. So with the substantial completion, that establishes the conclusion of the construction period and begins the 1-year warranty period. So with all work complete and everything accepted, we would recommend that the certificate of substantial completion be signed.
Very good. Well, that's been a long time in coming. So I would, let's see, I would move that we approve or authorize the chair to sign items 9 and 10.
Second.
Yeah, I was out there the other day, and it's a really nice little bridge. Did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.
Sure. And then the last one with that change order. So one minor change came right at the end. With that inspection, the contractor had reseeded the area with a typically acceptable method of just surface roughening and then seeding. When we looked at it, we decided that we would prefer that area be covered with a biodegradable erosion control matting just to help ensure that soil stability while the vegetation is being established. Something that we really kind of missed at the time the construction plans were developed. So that's something that should have been thought of months ago, but we caught it at the right time. And so we requested that additional work of our contractor, and they agreed to do it. They spent a little over $2,000 getting that work done, but we also had a reduction in the pile quantity during the early work. So we had almost a $1,400 credit in their contract. So with the extra work that was requested for the erosion control, we have a net difference in contract price of $688. Again, going back to the whole project being complete idea, they did that work. It's that much better of a project to have that additional protection in place. So we would recommend that the change order be approved.
What is the material?
They used a coconut fiber matting. Sometimes you can use a straw matting, but they used the heavier grade material.
Sorry, Dave.
No, I was just going to say, anticipating that you're going to give a stellar description of the project. My last motion included both the previous item and this one, so I got ahead of myself. So I think we're good.
We're good.
All right.
Thanks, Eric. It's $688 is nothing on a bridge.
Yes, not on this one.
Yeah. Thanks, and it does look really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, in correspondence, we have a letter in support of technical assistance grant for this Frenchtown Smurfit Stone Community Advisory Council.
Sounds good.
Yeah, is anybody going to speak to this?
Commissioners, Chris Lansbury, I can really quickly. So this was a request that came from the Smurfit Stone CAG, the community group. They are looking now that some of the work out there has been done, and they're beginning to get technical data for assistance with the creation of a technical advisory group, which again is covered by the work that's being done by the EPA out at Smurfit Stone, but this would help by providing technical expertise to that community advisory group. And so this is just a letter in support of formation of that new group, group to give support to the existing CAG.
Thank you.
That's good. Hey, one other piece of correspondence. So Juanita brought to our attention that there is a looming deadline for letters of support related to the Blackfoot Clearwater Stewardship Act, as in what, the end of the day today?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's going to be heard tomorrow at 2.
So just wondering, I don't see anyone from CAP still on the line, but Chris, would it be possible for, if we were able to quickly whip together a letter, have us submit that thing today and then put it on an admin agenda for later in the week?
We only have the one admin this week, Dave, because the Passenger Rail Summit's on Thursday, but we could sure post it on to Tuesdays, and I'm sure we can put together a letter.
Okay. Thank you.
You guys think are okay with that?
Yes, I'm personally.
Hopefully somebody can put the letter together. That's a tough thing to ask at short notice.
Well, I know we've submitted.
I have lots of material I can send to whomever.
Well, and we've submitted them letters on this topic before. I don't know if the three of us have, but I know I've signed them. So there's surely some boilerplate sitting around somewhere.
Yeah.
Do I send this to? I mean, I can send boilerplate to Allison. Or who?
Yeah, if you can send it to Allison, Sarah, and Ann and I, that would be great. And then we'll look at our previous letter, Dave, and we'll put something together.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Good catch, Juan.
Thanks for bringing it up, Dave. I didn't think this was even possible. So yeah.
We're all about making the impossible impossible around here.
Okay, on to some discussion items. Brian.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So what you have before you is marked as litigation strategy discussion. I don't intend to go into the litigation today nor close it because it's very early days, but we did want to give the commission notice of a lawsuit we received in the last 2 weeks. The best summary I can give for this situation is the plaintiffs, Jeremy Willis and Jennifer Patchen, were purchasing property from a couple named the Cottrells under a contract for deed. My understanding from their complaint is that they fell behind or were unable to close the deal with the Cottrells, and ultimately the Cottrells filed suit in April of this year to reclaim the real estate. The Cottrells did get an order from the court that they could repossess the property. Ultimately in May, a couple of our sheriff's deputies were requested to bring a writ of assistance to the property to get the Cottrells back in possession again. Ultimately, it looks like the senior member of the sheriff's office who was on site felt uncomfortable about what effectively would have been an eviction with the governor's COVID orders in places. And they ultimately decided not to proceed through with the writ of assistance and did not remove the individuals from the property, recommending that both parties go back to the court. So I've been referring to it as an aborted eviction because the officers got on scene, but ultimately decided that it was inappropriate to follow through, and they did withdraw, basically. I think they aptly called it a timeout. So the Willis and Patchen, the plaintiffs, did end up filing suit against the Cottrells over the matter and have included us in there, basically claiming that the stress resulted from that aborted eviction caused some harm or injury to Ms. Patchen. At this stage, I will let the commissioners know that we have the capacity to defend the lawsuit on behalf of the Missoula County agents and the county and the sheriff's office itself, and we will be proceeding to do so.
Wow. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Brian.
Yes.
I know Jeremy Willis. Like we went. We went to school together. So is this what do I need? Do I need to recuse myself or?
You can't serve on any jury, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. There's nothing that I'm asking you here today that would require any sort of recusal, and certainly something we can discuss down the line if there are any sort of decisions being presented to you in your capacity as a commissioner.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions?
No. Thank you, Brian.
All right.
Okay, anything to say about upcoming board meetings and review of meetings?
Are either of you attending the Urban Counties MACO meeting this afternoon?
I saw Juan's name was on that schedule.
Yes, I think I am. Oh, I forgot it was today.
What time is it?
2. I have coordinated compliance as well. At 2.
Are you still planning on going, Dave?
Yeah, I'll go. It'd be good if a couple of us were on that. Unless you have to get coordinated compliance, Juanita.
Yeah, I could jump in for some, but I have a dentist appointment the late afternoon today. But I can jump in on some of the urban counties too.
Same. I can jump in, but are you able to be there for the duration, Dave? Or
well, probably. Are you actually a part of the coordinated compliance team, Juanita, or?
I don't. I've just been going to these meetings. I don't know.
Meetings.
But I don't think I have to do anything. I'm kind of looking at Chris here.
Dave, could you send me the link and I'll jump in on some of it as well?
Sure. Or if someone on our communications team is.
Can we just get in on your Zoom if we click on the Zoom link? Yeah. I'm looking at the calendar and it says Dave's.
Sarah says she can take care of it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Of course she
Of
can.
course she can. Okay. Or Kyla. Thank you, both of you.
Great. Well, then I'll jump in until I have to go to the dentist.
Great.
I'm really bummed that we don't get to drive to Great Falls and sit in a windowless, fluorescent lit room with crummy carpet. But I'll tough it out and do this online.
Well, then well, I don't know if were we supposed to be nominating folks for chair?
Yeah, we're voting on the chair among other things, I think. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. So I'll be there till right towards the end.
Okay.
Do we have anything to speak to in terms of COVID and this horrific air?
I have nothing to update you on, but if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. So status quo right now.
Adrian, I think I know this just from reading the newspaper, but I just want to be more clear on it. To what degree is our horrible air right now due to generally local fires, and to what degree is it due to Oregon and California?
Almost all of our smoke and poor air quality right now is attributed to Oregon and California fires, as well as some that are burning in Idaho.
So that means, other than I heard a potential change for a day or two on Friday and Saturday, otherwise we're going to be in smoke, or could be in smoke, until those fires in farther west of us get more under control. Is that correct?
Yeah, either the fires get more under control or we get a different flow pattern. Right now we're kind of under a westerly flow, and then the high pressure is just holding the smoke here. If the high pressure breaks, we could see the smoke just kind of continue to pass over the top of us and get refreshed with cleaner air. But until we get a change in the weather or the conditions of the fire change, we're going to be in for it.
So there's two possible options for relief.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you will remember last week, we were kind of under that easterly flow, so it was pushing all that smoke out onto the ocean, and we were getting kind of cleaner air from Canada and our partners to the east. But now we're getting their smoke because we're under a westerly flow.
Thanks. Right. Dave, Rowan, do you guys have anything?
Good.
No.
Right. Thanks, Adrian. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks.
We have 3 minutes to attorneys.
File break. Yeah.
Yeah. File break. Thanks.
Yeah.